Staying on the topic of cybersecurity and AI, Wendi Whitmore, she's a Chief Intelligence Officer at Palo Alto Networks, joins me now with more. Palo Alto Networks is a publicly traded company, and a great time to have this conversation because technology and cyber probably more in focus now than ever. Some of the recent volatility that we've seen. Wendi, paint the picture for us in terms of what's happening right now in this industry.
You mentioned it's so timely, right? At this point, cybersecurity is a $1 trillion industry in terms of the impacts that we're seeing on an annual basis. So the reality is the threat landscape is pretty dynamic. We're seeing increased speed, sophistication, and scale with which the attackers operate. And when we look at business impact on the sophistication side, disruption is a key area that we see these attackers going after. So they're not looking to just steal information and maybe command a ransom payment. They're actually looking to go in and cause business disruption at a great scale so that even consumers can feel the impact and drive some sort of result on the back end to force that business to pay a ransom or their data in a different way.
We are here at the stock exchange and we cover the action in the equity market, obviously is the underlying pulse of what we do here. We've seen a pullback, a 10% pullback for the S&P last week. Currently the S&P down about 8.5% from its February 19th record. Companies becoming more cautious on some of their outlook. In this particular environment, what is your recommendation to businesses and consumers for their own digital hygiene when it comes to cyber investment?
I would say one of the things we're seeing is not a pullback. It's really a shift in investment in terms of organizations really looking at proactively securing their defenses. So making sure that they can detect in a more unified manner, they've got great visibility into the situation versus organizations waiting on the back end to only react when there's a problem with an attacker. So I think that although the market will probably continue to be dynamic, cybersecurity is national security and it's a key business imperative.
We were just learning about artificial intelligence. It's obviously something that we talk about a lot on this show, and we've seen a lot of investment there over the past few years since the onset of ChatGPT. How does AI play into cybersecurity?
It's so fundamental at this point, right? So first, if you're an organization as a defender, you have to be using AI, right? The reality is we're only going to defeat these attackers with incorporating AI into our defenses. From the attacker landscape, the way that they're leveraging it is really to increase the speed of their attacks, to be able to automate these attacks, and then also to remove things like language barriers that used to exist so that they can have more effective initial social engineering components of their attacks. So AI is here to stay. Organizations who are using it are doing it well to be able to accelerate their detection.
Can you give us examples or maybe just overarching trends of how you see C-suite leadership responding in this environment?
Especially as it relates to cybersecurity and AI, so many leaders we talk to, CISOs, CIOs, they're interested in understanding how can I use AI in my business, but make sure that it's protected, right? I want to make sure my employees are using it safely and that they're not sharing information that's sensitive that shouldn't be. So that's a key business imperative. They're also interested in how are attackers using AI and how can we detect that quickly and respond so that we can mitigate compromises.
Interesting. Now, we were talking a bit about AI before, but challenges, obviously there's a lot of opportunity. You mentioned it is really at the foundation. What are some of the challenges with AI and cyber?
I think the reality, the biggest one that executives are sharing with us is sensitive data inadvertently being leaked from their environment. So making sure that they've got products in place and processes and procedures so that their employees know how to use AI securely, that they've got technology in place to detect its unauthorized access, and then can really lock it down in their environment.
Interesting. Now, we've talked a lot about here painting the broad picture. How does Palo Alto Networks come in when it comes to cyber protection?
So I think we're really fundamental to the landscape, right? The reality is that so many of these breaches occur because visibility is challenging. Organizations have, on average, over 80 different security tools that are used in environments, and it's very complex for their employees to be able to respond and detect. So we come in with a unified approach that really drives efficiency and quick action so that organizations can detect, respond, and contain.
Wendi Whitmore, she's a Chief Intelligence Officer at Palo Alto Networks. Wendi, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Kristen.